Hello, Jason here from septictank.co.uk, and in today's video we're going to discuss and talk about domestic sewage treatment plants in the UK. Alright, so we're going to answer questions like what are the different types of sewage treatment plants in the UK, how do they work, and which are the best, right? Okay, so let's get straight into this. Alright, so what is a domestic sewage treatment plant? Well, basically a domestic sewage treatment plant is a tank, a system, a machine, I suppose, all three things rolled into one that turn your raw sewage into clean, safe wastewater. All right, and so here I've got two different types of domestic sewage treatment plants that you can buy in the UK. All right, the first one is an electric one, and the second one is non-electric. Now, 99% of treatment plants in the UK for sale at this moment in time are electric. So how does an electric sewage treatment plant work? Well, let me show you. All right, so I'm not the best artist in the world, but hopefully by the end of this you will get at least a semblance of an understanding of how they work. So this is the inlet pipe, that's the outlet pipe. So all the wastewater comes into here. All right, I'll do it in brown because that's the color it comes in. All right, and the wastewater will fill up in this compartment. So that's all the poo and the wee, all the debris, all the horrible, nasty raw sewage. Now, you're probably wondering what all this inside it is. Well, it's called an electric domestic sewage treatment plant. Why? Because it runs on electricity. And here you've got a compressor. A compressor is, I suppose, like a giant aquarium. Well, I suppose you could almost liken a domestic sewage treatment plant to like a big aquarium. So you've got a big compressor there. It can be 60 watts, 120 watts, and a lot more, right? And so this is powered by electricity. And inside you've also got a big shaft or a drum or a hive, as they call it. And on top of that, you've got a motor, and you've got cogs and bearings and pullings. And how it works is this. All the raw sewage comes into here. The raw sewage then goes into compartment 2. So you've got compartment 1, you've got compartment 2, and you've got compartment 3. So then the raw sewage will spill over into this compartment here. Now, you'll notice like it's got two legs there. Well, those are called diffusers, and they're like aerators. And so what they do is they cause lots and lots of bubbles, right? Now, those bubbles in there are full of oxygen, right? And the bacteria in compartment 2 there, right, are basically fueled by this aerobic process, right? And what they do, they treat and clean the sewage. And so it goes from step 1 into step 2, where it's cleaned and treated. Then it goes into step 3. All right, so step 3 or chamber 3 is the clean water. So you can see there's 3 stages there. And depending on what system you've got, in many of the electric treatment plants, you've got like a pump in the bottom here, okay? That's on legs. And that will pump the water, the clean water, straight out from there into a stream, a river, a brook, the soil, whatever. So that's basically how an electric sewage treatment plant works. This one is a non-domestic one, all right? And again, it's got a little hive inside it, but it's not powered by electricity. There's no motors or cogs or bearings or pulleys or shafts or anything, or belts or anything like that in them. So what happens with this? Again, you have your raw sewage coming in, right? And then it will land on this top shelf here, like so. But then the Germans who came up with this amazing, clever idea is what happens is the raw sewage filters down through these biomat layers, All right, so that's our raw sewage trickling down, almost like mineral water trickling through the volcanic layers, you know, before it hits the aquifer. And then what happens is, somewhere in here, in this hive, the sewage is converted into literally safe, clean, liquid mineral water, fertilizer. And then it drains down from there, drips down into like a sump here. And in that sump it collects and it reaches a certain height, and then that water will just naturally drain out into the soil, river, stream, brook, watercourse, whatever. So that's primarily the two different types of domestic sewage treatment plants in the UK, electric and non-electric. Now, as I said at the outset, electric have been around for 30, 40 years. That's in the UK, right? In Europe, many of the manufacturers now are leaning towards non-electric ones. They're slowly getting the idea in this country, but not a lot of manufacturers are converting over to that because it means changing their whole tool setup. So if you imagine, all the factories at the moment are geared up to produce the motors, the cogs, the bearings, the belts, you know, the molds, etc. But they'd have to completely retool and refit the factories and stuff. So whilst people do like non-electric, there's only a couple of non-electric sewage treatment plants in the country. So they both convert sewage into clean wastewater, all right? But it's almost ironic that you've got a system here that's full of water, full of moisture, and you've got, as I said, compressors, motors, bearings, shafts, belts, and everything into them. And so in time, they only come with a year's warranty, the electric ones, on the motors and the cogs and the bearings and the shafts and stuff like that. Because, as I said, they get rusty over time. I mean, I've had to replace a few shafts in my era, and they almost cost, you know, more than the original treatment plant cost to buy. So, you know, they're power hungry and they're prone to breaking down. Not that I'm demonizing them, right? Because I'm not doing that. There's some very good systems out there, but I'm just saying the technology now is getting old. It's getting tired and it's getting worn. Personally, yes, call me biased, I lean towards the non-electric treatment plants because, number one, they can't break down. Number two, they don't smell. Number three, they're silent, right? And so for me, right, something that doesn't need servicing, that doesn't break down, that doesn't have running costs, that doesn't smell, for me, that's a no-brainer, right? It means no customers are going to ring me back in 4 years' time saying, you know, the motor's gone or the compressor's gone, or, you know, you know, it's just for me a no-brainer. But as I said, in this country, the electric treatment plants are the most popular. Now, another factor to consider is that the non-electric treatment plants are about 500 quid to 1,000 quid dearer than the electric ones. They just are. I don't know why, but that's how it is. And people think, oh, right, they're 1,000 quid cheaper, we'll go for the electric ones. But it's false economy, right? Because an electric treatment plant will typically cost you anywhere from 750 to 1,500 quid a year in running costs, right? So that's typically what it costs to run one of these a year. Where do I get that figure from? Well, it's about 750 quid plus in electricity every year. Don't let them tell you it's any less, because it isn't, right? It's going to cost you at least 350, 500 quid a year to get this thing serviced. If you don't get it serviced, then it null and voids the warranty. All right, and then you've got to get it desludged at least 2 or 3 times a year. So it's a lot, it could work out a lot more than 1,500 quid. Whereas, right, the non-electric one, 0 running costs a year. Because they're organic, they're like a composter, they're self-cleaning, they're self-servicing, they don't break down, right? There's no electricity, no running costs. So whilst you may save 500 quid or £1,000 up front on here, over 5 years, flipping heck, you're going to be spending 7,000 quid just to run the thing, right? On this, you've made your money back in the first year. So when you're going to look for or choosing a domestic sewage treatment plant, these are just things to consider, right, before you buy. As I said, you decide which one that you prefer. I've told you which one I prefer and the reasons why. But if you're going for it, then those are the pros and the cons that you need to weigh up when you're choosing a domestic sewage treatment plant. So listen, thank you very much for watching this video today. If you'd like to see more free videos and like to see more of me, heaven forbid, right? Then just go to septictank.co.uk. Loads of free help and advice you'll find there. If you want to go onto Google or YouTube, just type in Septic Tank TV. You'll see a whole load of thousands of videos I've done to help people choose the right systems, how to fix septic tanks, soak away problems, etc. And if you subscribe to my YouTube Septic Tank TV channel, you're in with a chance to win £500 worth of free bacteria for your sewage system. So listen, thank you very much for watching this video today. You take care, and I'll speak to you soon. For more information, just click the link below this video or visit septictank.co.uk for free help and advice.